Hey guys, Jasmine here from Feeling Nifty Painting Tutorials. Today I'm going to show you how to make juicy purple paints by mixing them with the perfect blue and reds. We're going to make purples from indigo all the way up to lavender and mauves. And I'm going to share with you one surprise color that I found that you can use to create those really bright jewel purple tones. But first, let's talk about what not to do to prevent your purples from looking muddy. Now, these are two different purples I created. You can tell this one here is very vibrant, and this one here is rather muddy and more on the brown side, brown neutral side. So I noticed that there was one particular color of red. When I used it, no matter what blue I mixed it with, it would always turn it this like muddy, purpley brown. And that color. So if you're trying to create these vibrant purples, you want to avoid using cadmium red medium hue. And this has to do with color theory. Now, when you're aiming for really pure colors, you should stay clear of their opposites on the color wheel. Now, in technical jargon, it's called the complementary colors. Now, purple's opposite is yellow, or its complementary color. So basically purple and yellow are opposite to each other on the color wheel, and they're complementary colors. And cadmium red has quite a bit of yellow in it. So it sits right about here on the color wheel. And so mixing this cadmium red, which has warm undertones, yellow in it, just ends up dulling your purple down. So to get really vibrant purples, you want to use reds and blues without any yellow in them. So here I've made a chart of some warm reds, which is our cadmium red medium hue, and various cooler reds. And when you pair them side by side, you can tell right off the bat that your cadmium red has a lot of yellow and orange to them, and they look quite a bit just warmer than the reds on the left-hand side. So you can do that at home too. If you have a bunch of reds that you're not sure if they're warm or cool, or even at the store, you can paint a little swatch on a piece of paper and see them side by side and just gauge to see if they look warmer and have a little bit yellow and orange to them, or if they have more blues and purples to them, to see if your reds are cool or warm. And you can do the same activity for your blues as well. You can also think of it this way. You'd want to pick blues and reds that are as close to purple on the color wheel as possible. So go for a warmer blue that's got some red in it and a cooler red with some blue undertones. The closer they are to your purple, the purer your purple is going to be. All right, to make things super easy for you, I'm going to share with you the ultimate paint combos for whipping up the most awesome purples. After trying out 10 different acrylic paint colors, I found that the best combo for purple was ultramarine blue and quinacridone magenta. And while doing my purple paint experiments, I found that fluorescent pink made those purples pop even more to make those yummy purple jewel tones. Now, if you don't have those paints handy, don't worry. You can try alternatives like cobalt blue, primary red, permanent rose, or alizarin crimson, which are all warm blues and cool reds, and I tested them out and they made really nice purples as well. All right, now let's mix up some punchy purples with ultramarine blue, quinacridone magenta, fluorescent pink, and then we're gonna create some tints, tones, and shades with using white and black. So before we get started, I'm going to jot down our color combos in a mixing chart in my journal. Now, this is a good way to keep track of everything for future projects. Many artists do this to remember their color recipes. So for the first row, we're going to mix equal parts of quinacridone magenta and ultramarine blue, and we're going to put it into this column right over here. So I have it already on my palette. I'm just going to mix it together. And when mixing these two colors in equal amounts, we're going to get a really cool purple. It's going to be very reminiscent of indigo purple or indigo blue, which is also a cool purple. This color is also very close to dioxazine purple, which is a popular paint color you can buy. So basically, instead of buying your paints, you can just mix it at home, which saves you money. Grab some of that purple we just created, and we're going to paint it in, a swatch of it in the first column, first row. And you're going to notice how nice and cool, dark and cool this purple is. All right, now we're going to move on to making a tint of this purple with adding a little bit of white. So I'm just going to add a dollop of this original purple in another pile, and I'm going to grab equal amounts of white. So 1-to-1 ratio with this original purple to white, and it's going to create a really beautiful lavender color, because lavender has a little bit of, is a little bit more of a cooler purple, a cooler and lighter purple. Then we're gonna grab that light purple lavender color, and we're gonna add it to a swatch over here and in the plus white tint area. And another thing you can do here too, you can create a lot of variations with this purple by adding in more and more white. So it's a good activity to do if you want to create a variation of lighter purples. So I'm going to just show you quickly here. And then I'm just going to add it here just to show you the difference. And then you can keep on adding more and more white to create a variation of this lighter purple or tints of this original purple. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a tone of this original purple, which is we're going to be adding a little bit of gray into it. So to mix our gray, we're going to add some white, and we're going to add just a tinge of black, like just at the tip of my palette knife there, because we want to create a light gray. We do not want a dark gray because it's just going to turn it dark real fast. And then we're going to grab equal amounts of the original purple and mix it into that gray, and it's going to create a really nice mauve color. I'm going to pick up that mauve color, and you're going to see the difference between this lavender light purple and the one that has gray in it. You can see that it's a little bit duller and not as vibrant as that because we've added gray there. So the last row, we're going to add a shade of this original purple, which is adding pure black to it. And that creates a really dark purple, kind of reminiscent of like an eggplant color. Knife. And we're gonna add just a tiny smidgen of black to create our first variation of this shade. So just a little smidgen of it, because black is very, very overpowering, and it quickly overpowers and darkens any color it's mixed with. So you want to add black in really, really tiny amounts to create a variation of shades. And then we're going to add it right over here. So you can see it's darker than that original purple here, but it's not quite black. You can really definitely see, it's hard to see on camera, but in real life you can see that it is definitely purple, but a nice darker purple, like an eggplant color. So we're done our first row of cool purples. We're gonna move on to the next row, which is going to be adding, we're gonna be mixing a warmer purple, but we're not going to be using different paints. We're still going to be using ultramarine blue and quinacridone magenta, but we're going to be adding them in different ratios, and you're going to see just with that, it changes the warmth of your original purple. All right, so now for this warmer purple, I have a ratio of 1 part ultramarine blue to 3 parts quinacridone magenta. So we want much more quinacridone magenta in this mix, and we're just going to mix it up, and you're going to notice that it is turning purple, but it's not going to be like a cool purple like that. It's going to be a warmer purple. And we're going to paint this pure purple onto this row here. So you can see right beside it already, compared to the one above, it's going to look much warmer. It looks like they're 2 different purples, but we've just mixed up the ratios. That's all we've really done. This is also very close. This purple is also close to Prism Violet, which is another popular paint you can buy at the store. So instead of buying it, we can mix it by using different ratios of the ultramarine blue to quinacridone magenta. Now, the reason it's warmer is because we have more red in the mix compared to the blue. And red, as we learned earlier, is a warm color and blue is a cool color. So basically, anytime you want to tweak your colors to be on the warmer side, just add more of the warmer color in comparison to the cooler color into your mix, and vice versa for cooler colors. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a tint of this nice warm color. I'm going to add equal amounts of white and mix it up. And once you add white, it really just brings that color to life. Sometimes when it's really dark, it's hard to see what that purple looks like, but you add just a little bit of white and it really just brings it to life. So you can see side by side already, it's looking much warmer. So that one we're going to grab on our brush and we're going to paint it in the column right beside it. And it's more like a pinky purple here, which is really beautiful. And now we're going to add our tone of this original purple. So we've created that gray here with white and just a smidgen of black to create a nice light gray. And I'm gonna add equal amounts of that original purple with that gray. And we're gonna create a nice, beautiful, warm, this is gonna be a warm mauve. Beside it, you can see the difference already between even this mauve and that one. That one's a cooler one and this one's a warmer one. It's very beautiful. So now we're going to create a shade of this warm purple. So I'm going to move this original purple over into another small pile, grab a smidgen of black just at the tip of my palette knife, and we're going to mix it in. Now I'm going to grab that darker tone, darker shade of this purple. So now we've created a variation of cool purples, a variation of warm purples using the same two reds and blues. And now we're going to create some nice jewel tones by mixing in fluorescent pink with our ultramarine blue. And you're going to see them transform into like really bright, juicy and jewel toned purples. All right, so now let's mix the ultramarine blue and fluorescent pink in a 1-to-1 ratio to create some nice jewel tones of purple. Fluorescent pink, when mixed with many, many colors, it just brings out this vibrancy and luminosity in paint colors. I love mixing fluorescent pink with my paints. So you can see already it's like a very vibrant purple. This color here. And paint it in our swatch in this first column. And you're gonna see, so this is also gonna be a cool purple because it's the blue and red in equal amounts. And you're gonna see compared to this original one, it's much more vibrant right off the bat by just adding your fluorescent pink, swapping in your fluorescent pink for your quinacridone magenta. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to bring it to life and we're gonna create a tint of this original purple. Move some of it over here, and we're going to add equal parts of white to that purple. I'm going to paint it right over here. So this lavender is also on the cooler side, but it's a little bit more vibrant than that original lavender over here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create a tone, which is adding gray. So remember, we don't want to add too much black. We're going to grab that original purple in another pile and grab equal amounts of gray. I'm going to mix that to create a nice mauve. This mauve is going to be cooler, like we have that one above, but still has a little bit more brightness. Like it's hard to see on camera, but in person, this purple is a little bit brighter than that original cool one we created in the first step. Now we're going to darken it up and create our shade of this vibrant, juicy purple, tinge of black, just a tinge. Paint that on here, and it's a nice dark purple. It's close to eggplant as well. Okay, or a nice grape color. So for the last row, we're going to add ultramarine blue and fluorescent pink in a 1-to-2 ratio, and you're going to see it's going to warm up these bright jewel tones, purple tones. There you go. It's a nice warm plum. That looks like a nice plum color. That's why it's good to have these recipes listed, because whatever colors you create, you can refer back to them in later art projects and know what your recipes are instead of having to refigure it out all over again. Hit our brush, and then we're going to paint it into this last row here. Oops, didn't mix well enough. There we go. So you're going to notice that this purple here is much warmer than this original one over here with the fluorescent pink 1-to-1 ratio. And compared to this one up here, it has like a vibrancy to it that this one doesn't. This one's more like a plum color, and this one is more like, this reminds me of Barney the dinosaur. All right, so for the next row, we're going to add white into it to lighten it up. So I'm going to grab a dollop of that into another pile, equal amounts of white. We're going to mix it paint it in the next column over, and you're gonna see it's like a kind of like a, if Barbie wore purple, this would be the purple she'd wear. That's how I describe this color. So now we're going to mix a tone of this purple. So we're gonna grab some in another pile, and we're gonna mix in some gray. I'm gonna mix that in. So just playing around with the amounts of red and blue you have in your mix, and then also the amounts of white and black you have in your mix, you can get a whole slew of different purples, from cool purples to warm purples. The possibilities are really endless. And the nice thing is you do not have to go and buy them at the store. You can have like 2 or 3 colors on hand, and you can mix like a whole bunch of different purples here. So you can see that this one is a beautiful mauve, and it has a little bit more brightness than the original mauve over here. And also this one over here, it's warm compared to that one, but there's a little bit more brightness there. Now we're going to mix our shade of this final purple. So we're gonna bring over some of this original purple, another pile, smidgen of that black, not to overpower it. It's a nice, like a red wine kind of purple. Okay, and paint that down. If you find it's not dark enough, so I'm gonna mix a little bit more of that black into it. There we go. It's a nice red wine color compared to the original one. And that wraps up our purple mixing adventure, where we whipped up over 16 dazzling shades of purple. From the tranquil, cool indigos to the fiery warmth of vibrant purples, all just with a handful of simple colors. Plus, we've mastered the art of creating tints, shades, and tones by just adding in a splash of white and a hint of black. Hope this tutorial has sparked your creativity and inspired you to create your very own beautiful purples. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more painting goodness. Until next time, sending you lots of love, color, and peace. Bye guys.